Now, I know that in some parts of the world, the words Muslim and music are not often linked together in the public mind, but they should be. The cultural heritage of Islam has long embraced musical language as an elemental expression of human spirituality.
The Aga Khan Music Program was created to recognize, support and validate the critical and pivotal role of artists and musicians in the communities that we serve. We discovered in the late 90s and early 2000s that some very specific communities that we were serving lost their ability to practice and to teach the traditional classical music of their regions, primarily because of its devotional and spiritual foundation. And so what we had to do in the very beginning was very simple. We had to find the masters who still had the ability to pass on their knowledge and craft and willingness to do so, because the respect for this profession has also fallen down to the very bottom. At our core, we were and we remain arts and music education program that gives the financial and administrative means to the masters to practice their knowledge, and then it also works with the society within their country, within their community, to make the form of that education both contemporized and accepted. When we started being music educators, we found out that the respect abroad very often brings in recognition at home. So the next step was that we became music presenters, and we brought the kind of music that we fight for to the stages in the world that usually were always closed to so-called folk or traditional or world musicians. And after that, we discovered that not only was the appetite for that kind of music huge in the West, there was also the desire to take that music home, to purchase it, to listen it. And then this incredible hole in the music market became apparent, because this was not the music that was produced on a very good level. It was not the music that was published on a professional standard that was afforded to its Western counterparts. So from being educators and presenters, we then became a very unlikely kind of the music producers and publishers of music. It became very apparent that one can only help the tradition in a very limited way if we just continuously preserve it. But to really help it grow, to help it develop, to help it thrive, we had to reconnect those artistic communities that always created new music, but no longer had the ability to do so. So we started these artistic gatherings that brought together artists from Central Asia, South Asia, Middle East, North Africa, sometimes West Africa.
The master musicians, in a sense, distill the work of the music program in the way they merge performance, composition, arrangement of music, and that is of music which is inspired but not necessarily constrained by individual traditions.
As you can imagine, every one of these initiatives is wonderful, but it takes decades for that to be accomplished, for the community for which it was created to really completely own it. So we as developers, as instigators of this initiative, can then depart and go and help someone else. So what became apparent is that because we were spending about two to three decades on each school, it was very difficult to ignore the sheer wealth of musical and artistic talent in the East that was not getting any of our attention and any of our help. And that's really how the Music Awards were created.
Our gathering here is a deeply symbolic one, for it celebrates not only inspiring artistic and scholarly creativity, but also the resilience of music and musicians in challenging times.
It's a form of education that I think we're losing in the Western world. This sense of music being a tool to capture emotions between generations, capture emotions between communities.
Because of this unique role that the artists hold in the communities in the East, you also understand how incredibly fragile those practices are. And because of that, the support that we can offer is really something that must be maintained and must grow, because the spiritual health of the community and of those whom we serve depend on it.
It is truly a privilege to be able to recognize and support the work of such outstanding musicians and creators. And for this magnificent gift that allows the awards and the music program to affect and change so many lives, our deepest gratitude to the Aga Khan family.